Hey, in this video, we're going to take a look at the unit mix, rent, and interior renovation strategy specific to the MFA-LITE underwriting model. As you can see here, I've already input the data. We'll go through each section, but before we begin, I want to talk about the macros at the top. You can see there's a clear unit mix macro right here. You want to click that if you want to clear out all the data in this table. And then we have a hide and unhide used rows macro. That is just intended to clear everything up. So if I just click that, it's going to collapse all the rows that do not have data. Just makes it look cleaner. And then I can unhide. Okay, so the way the unit mix table works is that you just input the bedrooms and bathrooms, square footage, and the number of units for each. You can most often find this in the offering memorandum um, provided by the broker, or you can get this information directly from the rent roll provided by the broker. I usually separate out my renovated units from my classic units, and you can do that by inputting this yes, and then it marks the name as renovated. These unit type names are automatically generated by the formula, but if you would like, you can overwrite this. It won't affect your underwriting. And then moving on to the in-place rents. This is optional, but I find it incredibly valuable. I generally get this from the rent roll, but I think it's important to understand what the in-place rents are versus what the property manager is claiming they can get for market rent. That way you can really understand your most up-to-date loss to lease number. So I will input these values directly from the rent roll, and it calculates the gross potential income for the in-place rents. And then moving on to current market rents, what I typically do is I will start with the market rent that is provided in the rent roll by the property manager. That's usually my baseline. It's not always accurate, so it's good to do a rent to comp analysis to verify those market rents. But using these two pieces of information, I can now understand my loss to lease, which is this number down here, the $72,000 is the loss to lease between in place and market rent. And that's an annual number. Moving on to renovation plan. This is why I built the table this way, is because it shows your entire business strategy for your units. So I can see what my in-place rents are. I can understand the loss to lease gap. And now we're going to go ahead and input the renovation plan. And then I can see what kind of rent premiums we're expecting to get for those renovated units and the ROI. So what I'll do typically I'll focus on the classic units. I'll put in the number of units to renovate. You can see I have 66 units available. I'll put in 66 that we're going to renovate. You can renovate less. There is some kind of logic in the code to make sure that you don't renovate more units than you actually have. If you see this error, that's what that is. And then you input your costs per unit. So there are a couple ways to go about this, but you generate a high level cost per unit and it calculates your total renovation costs, and then a rent premium. So this unit mix is helpful because it already has renovated units in the unit mix. And so it's very easy for me to set my rent premium here. What I typically do is I'll set it to whatever the renovated units are receiving, or the market rent for the renovated units, because it's already tried and true. And I can set that, and you can see a little high, so this would be 200. So now my post renovated units for the classic are going to be equal to my existing in place renovated units. See that over here. It's important to note that all the rent calculations in this table are as of today's dollars. And what the model is going to do is it's going to take these 66 units based on your renovation timeline that you set up in the deal criteria or deal assumption section. So in this case, I have a 2-year renovation timeline. I'm going to renovate those units over 2 years linearly. So what the tool does is it will take these units, move them from the market rent into a renovation vacancy bucket, and then back on the rent roll at the post-renovation rent. And you can see that process play out in the GPR Logic tab. Go ahead and watch the video for that, and I explain how that works. But that is the logic for the model. And so in this next one, this 2-1, 850 square feet, you can see I kind of overshot it. So I think it should be 25. There you go. And now I can see my 1 year ROI for each of these renovation plans and my post-renovation rent. So I'll go ahead and hide this. Now, I have a lot of stuff going on in the totals, so we'll talk about that. The annual GPR, gross potential rent, is shown here for the in-place rents, for the market rent, and you can see my loss to lease. And then I have the GPR for my post-renovation rent. So this is assuming all units are renovated. This is the GPR you would receive. Loss to lease is listed here between in-place and current market rents. And this one's pretty important here. So this is the rent premium that you're going to receive only on the renovated units or the units you're renovating. And I have a note indicating that right here. And then this cell here, this represents the rent premium you're getting across all unit types as a result of your renovation. You can see it's a little bit less because there are 16 units that we're not renovating. So as you can see, that's about a 21% increase in the rent premium received and a 19% increase across the entire property. Okay, that's it for the unit mix rent and interior renovation strategy. Thank you for watching.